What are you seeing here in the Gulf, and can you talk a little bit about the dispersants?
Oil can cause a skin rash, but I didn't expect oil to do the burning through the dermal layer into the subcutaneous layer. I mean, this is deep scarring and burning. And what I realized finally was it's oil and dispersants. The dispersants are breaking down the skin barrier and allowing the oil and the dispersants to penetrate deeply down. This is a huge problem. This is coming in as mousse, this combination of dispersed oil plus dispersants. It's visible. Some of it's visible as mousse, some of it's not visible. It's dissolved in the water column, and people are describing it like invisible jellyfish. The other concern is that it's not just skin issues. It's also a respiratory irritant. So people are having respiratory problems associated with these solvents and with oil, central nervous system problems. And I'm talking here about headaches, dizziness, nausea, burning eyes, sore throats, ear bleeds, white spots in the back of their throats. These two things combined, skin problems, respiratory problems, lead me to believe that the oil that's coming in oil form, in the air, in the water as dissolved oil, with the dispersants, is linked with these health problems. So what are the federal officials saying? The federal officials, 4 different agencies, are now saying, can't seem to find any unsafe levels here. So there's a disconnect between what the federal officials are saying and what the people are experiencing. I think this is because, as we learned from Exxon Valdez, oil causes long-term harm. Our federal standards are too weak. The medical community, at the same time as the Exxon Valdez researchers, were finding that oil was more toxic to birds, fish, mammals. Medical doctors were finding oil was more toxic to people at low levels. Oil jams cell function and disrupts immune system, disrupts reproductive hormones, respiratory function. I mean, on and on. Ultimately causes cancers. Here, the federal standards have never been adjusted. When the federal agencies say we can't find any unsafe levels, what they're referring to are standards that were set now almost 40 years ago. We know that dispersed oil is more toxic to wildlife in the water column than undispersed oil. We know that the mixture of dispersants and dispersed oil is more toxic than the oil or the dispersant alone. This is creating a toxic stew. I believe that BP is using dispersants for the same reason that Exxon tried to use them, which is to cosmetically clean and or cover up the extent of the damage caused by the oil spill. The theory with dispersants is the solution to pollution is dilution. In a shallow water or near shore area, there is no ability to dilute these toxic chemicals. The Amoco Cadiz in France in 1978. The Exxon Valdez, 1989 in Alaska. The areas that were treated with these toxic chemicals still have not recovered, and they're taking longer to recover than beaches that were left alone. So a little child is out breathing the air, and they're breathing more poison per body weight than their father or their mother. So the little kids are likely to become symptomatic first, which is kind of what I've been seeing. Asthma, skin problems. Their skin isn't, tough. They're more sensitive skin. So, problem with the kids. If your kids are lethargic, if they're getting sick all the time, I mean, this oil and dispersant mixture, immune suppression, sore throats, headaches, burning eyes, ear bleeds. People in the Gulf should be getting vapor organic respirators for themselves and their family if they choose to stay here. People should be keeping their children and themselves out of the ocean. This is a great summer for swimming pools and for backyard activities. Stay out of the ocean, stay out of the sound. Just because you can't see oil doesn't mean it's not there. So I've had way too many emails and phone messages from people frantic about their 2-year-old or their 3-year-old that's got rashes all over their legs and skin because they went swimming. We don't need this. We need to use common sense here. If the public officials aren't going to sound the alarm, I will.
Are people safe 10 miles inland? I mean, are people...
the thing is, once you can smell the crude oil in the air, and I've definitely been in communities where you can kind of feel it in the back of your throat. I mean, you can taste it in the back of your throat. If it's that strong, you're already have exceeded the health standards, okay? By the time you smell it, it's too late. You know, the air blows differently down here, so some days it's strong, some days it's not. Some days it blows very strong and it goes further inland. This is sort of like this invisible amoeba right now, this air quality. And until we can get some independent air quality monitoring, I think independently of even the federal government, and some, not grab samples, but some consistent real-time monitoring, I'm not willing to say the air is safe, definitely along the shores. How far inland, I don't know. A hurricane is a whole nother wild card. I learned that Hurricane Katrina took water and oil, water as far inland as 500 miles. So I think this is a summer to have a respirator handy. What we do have in the Gulf, very fortunately for the people who live here, is a clinic called the Environmental Health Center Dallas. And it's in Dallas. It's run by Dr. William Ray. He's an MD, and he specializes in chemical poisoning, chemical sensitivities, which is a long-term chronic manifestation of chemical poisoning at these levels, and detox procedures, and he has a nutritional supplementation that can help people's own bodies and internal defenses rebuild and repair and restore our ability to break down these toxic chemicals. And as we're seeing, I believe, from the illnesses that are rampant now across the 4 states that I've been in, and people are not talking in Florida, are not talking to people in Alabama. I've been seeing all this because I've been pacing back, traveling back and forth through the coast, seeing all this identical symptomology. We have a problem. The federal officials need to sound the alarm.